Hooah! Fellow pirates, philosophers, heretics, renegades, thinkers out there, welcome aboard the ship of the Stoic Pirate and on our quest for the treasure of the good life. My name is Matt and I'm the host of the podcast, The Stoic Pirate, and this is going to be a really special podcast episode because you can hear I'm speaking English, and it's going to be the first episode that's going to be in English. And there's a reason for that, and let me explain that quick why we do it in English. The people who are listening to my podcast, you know, the last 2 weeks already, the last 2 episodes, they came from Canada. So I'm here since mid-December. I'm in Lower Coverdale, that's near Moncton, and I'm staying here for about 4 weeks. And I'm here because my son, he lives in Canada since a little bit more than 1.5 years, and because there was COVID, I never was able to visit him till now, and so now I was allowed, so I said, okay, I go for 4 weeks. And so that's why I'm here in Lower Coverdale near Moncton, and why I'm in its old schoolhouse. You know, when I go somewhere for 4 weeks, I mean, first, if you go for 4 weeks in a hotel, it's quite expensive. That's one thing. And second, I don't think it's really inspiring, really cool if you're in a hotel. So I always look, when I go somewhere, I always try to find like this special place that is also, for me, inspiring, and you know. And so I found online this Airbnb that's like in this old schoolhouse. So I wrote them, and yeah, I got here the room. So I'm basically, you can see it here. We're in a, that's my room. It's an old, it's a classroom. So I'm living for 4 weeks in a classroom because, as I said, I need also, I like this special atmosphere because I want to also be creative. I'm writing, I'm visiting my son, but I mean, I'm also writing on my book and everything. And so it's really cool. And not only the place is cool, right after I came here, I realized also that the people who own this place are really cool, and we got along really well. And you know, I mean, you have to be a little bit a special person to buy an old abandoned school. So we talked a lot, we philosophized a lot the last weeks. We talked about politics, all kinds of stuff. We did some crazy stuff together, and I had to say, when I met this cool family, I had to say, you know what? You guys are modern day pirates. You're like non-conformists. That's what I think, you know, like what I always think, that's the pirates of today. And I was like, you know what? That's people I like to have on my podcast. And so that's why today I have my first English guest, or English speaking guest, with Maury Power. And it's a really great honor and pleasure to have Maury here. I rarely met a person, and I will stop talking now, but I rarely met a person who has such a positive attitude and so much energy like Maury Power. So Maury Power, thank you very much that you take your time and come to my podcast, that you come on board the ship of the Stoic Pirate.
You're gonna start rowing, yes! Yes. Yeah, Matthias is awesome, eh, you guys? Yes, we're from Canada. We bought this old school, and we've launched a business called the Big Dreams Club. It's a big old brick building. We'll get into it a little bit more, but loving life, just amazing. And COVID's been an interesting times, but Matthias is awesome. We jumped into a frozen lake the other day. You probably saw it maybe on social media a little bit. Frozen lake. I talked about doing it for 2 years. And Matthias is here, and all of a sudden the Cardinal's here, man, I gotta go. So I did it, and now I've set up a blue bin out front, a blue bin of water. It's minus 10 tonight, so I just filled it up. It's gonna be cold, and tomorrow morning we're jumping in. You know, just that cold water Wim Hof thing, so. Yes, so thank you so much. My first podcast ever, you guys, ever. I'm going to be doing some big things in the Big Dreams Club, as you're about to hear. And I just wanted to say, too, Matthias, that I'm going to just be real, and I'm just going to go big, right? And I'm going to stand by just giving myself a little bit of, yeah, you know, you're supposed to. So great introduction, and great guy. I'm so proud of him, his family, and he's so humble. And, you know, his kid, Miles, I met. I was a goalie. I'm a Canadian, right? We're all about hockey. I was a goalie. At 15, 16, started smoking weed. All of a sudden, no more hockey. And Miles is one step away from the big thing. And you know, hats off to you, sir.
Thank you, thank you very much. Yeah, well, you said already quite a lot of, you said some things, but now just let us know or let the people know, how comes that you ended up here in Lower Coverdale, Moncton? You're not from Moncton, you're from way BC, you were in Whistler, I think. And how did you end up here in Lower Coverdale, Moncton, in this old, abandoned, big schoolhouse?
Yeah, it's pretty big. It's a great story. And I mean, really, I've told a lot of people the story. So 2000, I'm going to tell you the whole story to you guys. It's a podcast. We can go a little bit long if we want, you know, an hour or so, hour or two. So seriously, 2015, December 10th, our house burns down in Whistler, BC. Okay, we're ski town, right? We're renting a townhouse there, $1,600 a month. And all of a sudden, we're booking a trip for 1 week from now, 7 days from now, we're going to Mexico for 2.5 weeks. 2.5 months, and we did it already. We already done it 3 times, so it was about to be our 4th trip. And we weren't so much into the skiing, even though we're living in a ski town. And I had a painting business, so I'm painting houses, paying rent. I have a young family. 2009 and 2010, 2 beautiful daughters were born. I quit drinking in 2002, November 24th, so about 10 years earlier, doing some work, and all of a sudden doing some work, getting grounded on myself. All of a sudden, find this beautiful woman, my wife. We ended up having babies, and you know, life's just getting better and better. But I was doing the work, right? And if I'm an alcoholic, I'm really never going to meet this beautiful wife, right? Because I'm just screwing everything up. So until I started doing the work on myself and opening up, all of a sudden I find this beautiful lady. We have this beautiful house. We were in Whistler, and we met in Fernie, BC, a small ski town. Then my friend tells me there's houses out in Saskatchewan for $70,000. So we say, oh, really? So we go and buy this house. We go out to Saskatchewan, look at 6 houses. The 7th house we look at is this beautiful 1-story house, 2 driveways, garage, and this driveway goes into this big kitchen that had an extension. We go and look at it. It's 3 houses down from this lake, and I'm a kiteboarder. I was into kiteboarding for about 2 or 3 years at a time. So I'm like, wow, there's a lake right there. We can go kiteboarding. So we buy this house in Saskatchewan. We move out there. Our baby's now, first time into December, we were pregnant doing the construction. We go out there, we start ripping walls apart, putting a new floor in, new crown moldings on the ceiling, about all the tools to do that. I'd never done this before in my life. I've been painting houses since I was like 15 years old. We buy this place, renovate it all, and then in like May, when the snow starts melting, we start having the smell. And I've never told Matthias the story yet. We've done a lot for the last 3 weeks, but so we move out to this house, and there's this smell of like poo, and we're like, what the heck's this smell? And the lake 3 doors down was the town's effluent, where they dump all the poo.
Oh my God.
And we're on a little bit of a hill, so if our basement windows were open, the smell would sort of come up and go into our basement. So we go down our basement and go, oh, close the windows. Some days it would go right up into the house. And it was such a nice little town in Saskatchewan, Canada. The people were so nice. We had a 120 square foot property, the 40 by 40 foot garden. This guy shows up and says, oh, I'll bring you some manure and some sand. 2 dump trucks full, mixes them all up, this layer of like dirt like this, and he says, give me $50.
Yeah.
We're like, wow. Like, so we live in this town for a year. We ended up moving into my wife's parents' house in Edmonton. And then we rent the house out to young people. There was hardly anybody to rent out to. A year later, they never once paid their rent on time.
Okay.
Never. They had 9 cars in the property. And then I tried to kick them out. So I said, you guys got to get out of this house. So after 1 year, the lease was up, and we decided to sell it. We go out to this. I drive out there. They left the door open. It was 2 weeks before I could get out there. I go in the house, and I go down in the basement. I hear this like Tasmanian devil in the corner, like this really dangerous, scary animal sound, like. So I go back up and sleep in the van. I leave all the doors open. I go to the van, and I sleep in the van. I leave all the doors open. And then in the morning time, I go around and making noise, and the animal's gone. It was locked in there. And then in the laundry corner, literally this far out, like this far out under one of the laundry tables and shelves in the corner, I dug in all the drywall and made this thick nest, huge, 6 foot by like 8 foot nest. And my neighbor comes over, this 80-year-old, he goes, dude, that was a badger. And the badger would have took your leg off if you would have come around the corner and seen it, because the sound it was making was crazy. So we sell the house, we move out of there, we come back to Edmonton, we come over to Whistler. This beautiful young family now, my girls are going 4, 5, 6. We're in Whistler, beautiful Whistler ski town, right? All the houses are $5–10 million. And there's very few people to work, so you get good money. And I'm painting. I'm always this perfectionist, always painting by myself, never hiring people, always living check by check, painting by myself. This is my story. Then all of a sudden, December, our house burns down. We ended up moving into this place for the town was amazing. They come together. There was 80 people who were homeless because it was a townhouse complex. And as I was saying earlier, we were going on a vacation in 1 week for 2.5 months. And one of the schools in town would put students in our place, and it was okay with our landlord. He said, fine. So one of the schools would put students while we were gone, because it's hard to find places. So it was perfect win-win. So we didn't pay rent while we're on vacation. And 7 days, we're going on vacation, the house burns down. Basically started in December. There's no places to live. So we ended up getting a temporary place for $2,100 for 6 months. And then I had this idea that I'm going down to Vancouver to start these rebounding classes. You see all these, we have these little mini trampolines, those little mini trampolines you jump up and down on called rebounders. So I go down to Vancouver, open up this pop-up business, start teaching rebounding. 25 rebounders, we set it up, we had like all of a sudden like 700 people on our Facebook page, like 300 paying people, and all of a sudden all the classes were full, like 25 people a class. We're rocking these classes, but it was just a pop-up business because they were going to rip down this building. So in 90 days, I had to find a new place. Yep. Then I started looking around Vancouver, and it's like $7,000 for a rent. So all of a sudden that business fails completely. Now we're living down in North Vancouver. I got some contracts down there, and basically eventually I was trying to launch this Big Dreams Club, because we're talking about a full circle on how I buy this school, right? And for about a decade, you know, I was talking about I'm going to open up a school that helps people succeed, you know, in a digital marketing class, in a mindset class. It's going to be called the Big Dreams Club. So I kept putting it out there, kept talking about it. And a lot of experts will say, don't talk about it, just take actions. And another part of people, the law of attraction will say, if you're talking about it and putting it out there, it's hearing, and eventually it's going to come to fruition, right? So the way I look at it is God said, dude, you're not taking enough action, so I'm burning down your house. So our house burns down. We end up in Vancouver, because like I was saying, there's no places to live up in Whistler. We're down in Vancouver, and I'm kind of like ad-libbing a little bit, and I made a lot of big mistakes, okay? So there's a lot, you know, there's always more details to the story, but basically I ended up for 1.5 years driving from North Vancouver up to Whistler, because all my contracts were up there, all my safety zone. So these contractors are paying good money. So I'm driving up there, and I'll sleep there 4 or 5 nights a week, 6 nights a week sometimes, and I drive home maybe on a Wednesday, get home, visit the girls in the morning, then go back up. And the great thing about painting houses in a rich town like Whistler, the houses are empty. It's like a $5 million house. The people are there once, 1 week a year. And this $10 million house is empty. So there's all this maintenance to do. There's not enough people in this small town to do the work, so you got paid well. So basically 2 years is going up and down. I'm under major stress. For the first time in my life, you guys, I had anxiety, big time. I was basically end of 2015, so it started 2016. That whole year goes by. Now it's 2017. I did some work in Vancouver, but now I start driving up and down. Half 2016, all 2017, and then the start of 2018, I was literally, halfway through 2017, I was waking up every single day at 3:01. Okay, 3:01 in the morning for 6 months. First time in my life having serious anxiety. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? It's 3:01. How can this happen? The next day I'll go, and then I'm wide awake. And the way I mentioned it was my angels calling me, saying, dude, you're supposed to be launching a school. And we're living down in North Vancouver, which is right across from Vancouver. And Vancouver, there's like a little port in between, a little small part of the ocean. You can stand in North Vancouver and look across at the Vancouver skyline. It's almost like seeing like a New York skyline, right? And I'd sit there and visualize this Big Dreams Club I'm launching. This school, it's going to help people do things. Meanwhile, I'm in such stress right now, but of course I'm learning stuff about the mindset, right? I was 47, started learning stuff about the mindset, started realizing whatever you're in now doesn't really matter if you're focusing on a bigger, brighter picture. Like Matthias keeps helping me, he's reminding me, where are you going, right? What are you doing? And if that picture is big and bright, you know where you're going, you have a direction. So, January 2018, this is where the magic starts. Now, I took a long time to get here, okay? So I never really go into the Saskatchewan story when I tell all our Airbnb guests who come through here, but the The Pooh Lake story is unbelievable. Like, what a nightmare, right? This beautiful house, but everything happens for a reason. So now we move out of that, come back, we're in Whistler, house burns down, sucked, right? And no insurance. Our neighbors had moved in, these 27-year-old sort of partiers, and their landlord made them get house insurance. And because the place was totaled, they got the $30,000 paycheck. And these were ski bums. They had nothing, right? Okay. And they had a $30,000 paycheck. So if you're renting, get insurance, okay? To sort of finish up, even though we're not really finished yet, but all right, so 2018, January, I was actually, right during the holidays, I go down to Mexico because I needed about, believe it or not, about $17,000 worth of teeth, dental work done, okay? A lot of root canals, and during that whole like year and a half, basically, let's just say January 2016, all the way to the end of 2017, so 2 years, my body was under such stress that all my teeth had just sort of, they got stressed out, and I was sort of like going like this, right, juggling, because we lost everything. I'm trying to build the family up, and it felt like I was paddling in water. So I was, like I was saying, I was having anxiety, and I'm literally waking up 6 months for sure, you guys, 3:01. And then having to go work for a full day and just rocking with energy, but like, what the hell's going on? So, and I started learning NLP, and I started learning mindset techniques, and I'd walk down the street. I heard this tip where you walk down the street and all of a sudden that anxiety pops up, and you literally physiologically say, stop, right? A big stop sign, and you step back, and you shrink down that picture that's scaring you. And my picture was, oh my God, I'm almost 50. I have no retirement. I'm going to be 75 and broke, right? Big scary picture a lot of people have. So I'd be walking down the street, oh, this scary thought. I'd say stop, step back, shrink it down, and then you step on it, and then you go, opportunity. And the brain's a habit-forming machine, right? And you are in control of your thoughts. So every time that happened, that first day, 10 times, all of a sudden the next day, like 3 times, and the third day, my anxiety was gone. And I was like, holy moly, this is powerful. So I started looking more into NLP and started looking into coaching and stuff like that. And then January 2018, so I'm starting to do the mindset work, you guys, right? I'm in this pile of stress, 2-hour drive, it sucks. My family's down here and I'm up there sleeping 5 days a week in a van, right? Painting houses, construction, dusty crap. Like, not complaining, but it sucks, right? It's not what you want to be doing. And so January 2018, we put the words mortgage free on our vision board. And we were all starting to learn about the power of vision board because now your brain sees something, it knows where it's going. It has a direction, right? The ship knows where it's going. So January 2018, mortgage free. I keep going about my life. We put up this beautiful, we started putting on our vision boards things we want. And you want to do it with an emotion of love. So I love my suits. I've never been a suit guy. We put a picture of a suit up there. We go down and look at this $300 suit in Tip Top Tailors, and I was down like 175 pounds because I was doing the intermittent fasting. I was feeling really good. I put the suit on, and I'm like, no, I don't want to spend $300 on a suit. So, like the next day, my wife's in a secondhand shop and finds a brand new suit, like almost the exact same suit. She brings it home, we try it on, and we look at the picture on our vision board, and it's the same exact suit. Like exactly the same suit. We're like, holy moly. Then the next like couple, maybe a week later or 2, I forget, but I'm up on I'm painting on a big machine up in Whistler, painting this front of this big house, and my daughter calls me. She says, Daddy, we won $500. And we'd put on the vision board, we win $500. So I said, Tiana, go look at the vision board. What's the number on she says, oh, it's $500. She says, this is magic. And then she says, we should have put a bigger number, right? So we started learning the magic of mindset and unconscious programming, and it's always listening. Our unconscious is always listening. So I've always been a positive guy my whole life, always been a positive guy, but making some bad decisions because of my worthiness factor, right? From my childhood, my parents' divorce and stuff like that. Whatever, I started looking at this at 47. Like, so back to the school, so we put up on the words mortgage free in January 2018, you guys. In June of 2018, I'm learning about, when you're in stress and I want to launch the school. And every time I think about launching the school, I just get flooded with resistance, right? Because I've been thinking about it so much, and my neural pathways my brain is thinking it's this big stress. So and the more you think it's this big scary thing, the thicker that neural pathway gets. It dumps a bunch of chemicals in the body, so then the body starts getting addicted to those big resistance chemicals because it's so scary. So I'm up in the car up there, and I started learning these techniques, and this guy in the paint store says to me, I got 10 guys working for me, and it's a lot of anxiety. I have to do payroll, I have, you know, all these, I also always have to find jobs for them, and I'm like, yeah, but you're making good money, right? He's like, yeah, the money's great. And I said, you got a partner, right? And my hat's off to you, man. I've always been positive, right? So my hat's off to you, you're doing great. But that night in the car, in a parking lot where I was sleeping, Whistler has these huge big parking lots, and the whole entire ski town was built off these parking lots of ski bums living there. Now they show up and they knock on your window before 8 o'clock, and they take pictures of you sleeping in the parking lot, which built the town, because the town is built on people needing to work. Ski bumps would go out there. Now they're taking pictures of you and giving you a ticket, and I'm like this professional guy who's trying to like feed his family, house burned down, and a lot of guys all in this parking lot are professionals, and the town of Whistler is literally going around knocking and taking pictures, and people aren't. So it's just unbelievable, right? You know, the control that's going on. So that's just a side story. So I'm up there in the car, and I did this meditation where you allow yourself to feel how much you're resisting. So I said, wow, that guy, when he told me that painting story about having 10 guys, I got flooded with anxiety. And every time you get flooded with an emotion, you want to ask why, and dig into that, right, and feel it. So I'm doing this meditation. Why did I get flooded with anxiety talking about working with 10 guys? So I said, can I allow myself to feel, this is the Sedona method, could I allow myself to feel how much I'm resisting having guys working for me and having an easier life? And I said, yes. And once you say yes, you feel, and your whole body, my whole body locked up with all this tension, and my whole body literally got flattened right up against the roof of the car. Same car we got out front there. Not the Sprinter. I bought a Sprinter van for a while. There was a big Mercedes. It's another story. But so almost finished the story now, okay, you guys? So lock this. This is in June. All my life I've been painting by myself and Mr. Perfectionist. Never wanted to hire guys. I would hire a few people sometimes if I was really busy and pay them cash, but I never wanted to pay people, right? And I was a perfectionist, right? Only I can paint. And this is just the stories we tell ourselves. It's just insane what we tell ourselves. So always painting by myself. June comes along. I know I have to change my life, and a lot of the experts say, even though I want to do the school, if you're doing this, get good at this. And instead of doing all this painting by myself, hire a team, right? So within 2 weeks of doing that meditation, I had 4 guys working for me, and by Christmas time, we put 40 grand in the bank. First time in my entire life, because I was always living check by check. And I changed my story from never again saying check by check to money comes to me easily. And if I hire guys and I'm paying them, that means they're making me money. So Christmas, we put 40 grand in the bank, and then it was a 2-hour drive. I'm sleeping up in the van. Remember, my family's down here. My wife says, we have to stop doing this, right? We have to put our whole life in storage. Our kids are only 9 and 10 once. So we're going to put our whole life in storage. We're going to go to Vietnam and Thailand for a 90-day trip, right? So we booked it in like October. All of a sudden, we put, end of December, we put all our life in storage. We're going to come back from Vietnam and Thailand with no place to live. Huge risk. And Matthias asked me earlier about how was it feeling going through all this, and I literally knew I was going through the chaos, because I'm not going to be painting for another 25 years. And I'm going through the chaos because I'm launching this school. I'm launching this school, right? I'm focused on launching the school. The school's happening. God burns down the house. We're now a year later. We go to Vietnam and Thailand, have this great time. And because I started saying money comes to me easily, I have 2 guys in Whistler working for me, and we're getting like $5,000 deposits in my account while we're on vacation. And all that year, I started putting pictures, you know, visions around my pictures of my email inbox saying, you know, payments, notification, payments, 5,000, 2,000, 2,000. And prior to that, everybody was always paying with paychecks. So somehow, from putting the picture up on my wall of getting paid through my inbox, within a year, everyone's paying me because everybody went to e-transfers. So I'm starting to get all these e-transfers. I'm over in Thailand, you guys, and I got 2 guys working for me on this 90-day vacation, and money's coming in. Like, it's really amazing. So now we go back to Canada in April. The trip ended April 15th. We went to visit our in-laws, right? Dropped the kids off there. Still had the 40 grand, and me and my wife flew all the way from Whistler, BC, where there's $2, $3, $4, $5 million houses in the city of Vancouver or North Vancouver. A home is $2 million, right? Half of a duplex is $1.5 million. Super expensive, out of my league. So we fly all the way to the other side of Canada, East Coast, where there is houses for 40 and 50,000. So I said, I'm buying a house. So while we were on that vacation, I saw this school was for sale. And I actually put an offer in. And I said to the bank, I have $40,000. And what happened is the school had an expired oil tank in front. And it was expired. So the bank would not give a mortgage. And I'm like, who cares about that? I got 40. It was only $100,000 for this big old school. 100,000. Like, this is a $1.3 million insurance rebuild. Big brick, awesome building. You're going to put a picture?
Yeah.
So we're almost done now, okay? Almost done now. This is the biggest part of the whole story, okay? And this is the magic now. This is unbelievable, you guys. This is the magic of vision boarding and action. So while we're in Vietnam, I put this, we're leaving to Vietnam in December, on December 31st, end of January, maybe January 15th actually, because it was 90 days. We came back April 15th. And so I'm putting this offer in. It gets rejected because the bank's, so I'm like, oh, my wife says, I was like, oh, my wife says, it's okay. We're going to go to Vietnam and whatever happens, happens, right? You know, she's amazing. And I said, I know, but I really want that school, right? Oh, a school, it'd be awesome. So we go to Vietnam and all that sort of stuff, come back, put the kids at the in-laws, and me and her fly out here May 2nd for a one-week trip to look around the Maritimes. There's like PEI, there's Nova Scotia, there's New Brunswick, and it's like, you know, 3 little small provinces where there's cheap houses. And we start driving around this vacation, and right when I landed here, before we started driving around, I called up the realtor and said, hey, we landed in Moncton. It's the biggest sort of where we landed. And I said, do you have any houses to look at? And she says, that school's still available. I'm like, what? It's off the list on the internet. Because when I was in Vietnam, it was off the list. She says, no, he's having a hard time selling because of this oil tank. Yeah. And so I started looking into it. I started talking to the government. They said, there's so much clay in the ground here. It'll probably be $30,000 max if it's leaking. And if you don't ever sell the property, you don't even have to worry about an environmental assessment if you're going to keep it. I said, I'm never selling this property. So we ended up putting an offer in. June 15th, I draw up an offer, send him $5,000 deposit. It's $100,000, and he wants to close August 15th. I said, no, it has to be September 15th. And he says, no, it has to be August 15th. So I said, oh, okay. So 60 days, you guys. I got 40 grand in the bank. When we came back from Vietnam, my main contractor, who had given me a lot of this money over the years, ended up, his foreman, while I'm gone, you know, the old, the mouse is away, so he brings his fisherman buddy, good friend, this big guy with the worst attitude. He worked for me once, and he's literally painting with 2 different colors paint, and on a machine, we're painting a stucco building on the outside. You know, stucco building, it's bumpy, and he has 2 different paint, and he's cutting down like this. And I'm like, oh man, what was his name? Chris! What are you doing? Come in. So we have a big argument. I'm like, you can't do this. It has to be dry one and then tape and then like razors, right? He's got 2 paintbrushes, 2 different colors, like insane, right? So I fired, but he ended up taking all my contracts while I'm gone. You know, like I just said, the foreman hires him. So I come back and I have no contacts. And I give this guy a $5,000 deposit with 60 days to come up with 60 grand, okay? And you guys know about tapping, emotional freedom technique. We've touched on it a little bit. Emotional freedom technique is basically like acupuncture on the stresses. It's really amazing. And when oh man, this is a whole other, when our house burned down, our daughter got PTSD. Quick side note, our daughter got PTSD, and her whole, watching the flames come out the window with her doll, she's 7.5 in that life's perfect stage. Yeah. Our first daughter who come out, for 9 days she never cried. We had stopped sugar 5 months of in our pregnancy, man-made sugar. And when she came out, for 9 days she didn't cry once. She looked at you in the eyes just like this. And all of a sudden we had some sugar on day 9 and she started crying like crazy. So we knew sugar was bad. So for the first 4 years of our girl's life, no sugar. And then we had another daughter a year and a half later. So the house burns down. My oldest daughter, who's having this perfect life, she's the calmest angel you ever met, all of a sudden gets big, thick PTSD because her kidneys turned off, from kind of like getting punched in the kidney from watching the flames burn up, and her dolls are in the flames. The flames are coming out the window, you guys. We stood out there watching this townhouse burn down. We should have got them away from it, right? But we stood there, and the smoke that comes up, and I was kicking doors in. I'm, you know, making sure no one's up there sleeping, and the firemen show up, and their whole thing is create a perimeter of safety. Yep. And I'm like, give me the hose, I want to put this out because my stuff's in there. But they're like, no, safety first. This is going to burn, dude, because roofs are made to repel water, and the fire gets up in the roof and they can't put it out. So they have to bring machines in and rip it all apart. And we're watching this. So My daughter gets bad PTSD, and instead of her kidneys filtering out the toxins and peeing them out, all her toxins went through her skin, and she got this huge, big, thick rash. And for 9 months, nobody could heal her. Like nobody. The best doctors, she's eating just chicken soup, low histamines, cucumbers, just chicken soup broth, nothing. And really like so bad a rash. And then of course the hospital says put her on steroids, right? And as you guys may or may not know, steroids don't solve the problem. And we're like, there's something wrong with her kidneys. And then the head of the entire doctor's hospital, I'm not against doctors if you're in a car accident, but like Eastern medicine and chiropractic and all these doctors all have to work together, right? Instead of being like, you know, so because she's like, this is serious. And we're like, this is serious. And she's like, she needs to be on steroids. I'm like, that's not something. Anyhow, we put her on steroids. We wean her on because you basically wean them on. All her hair falls out and then you wean them off. So the steroids did nothing. 9 months of hell. She never complained once, you guys, not once. She's eating chicken soup. You know when you make bone broth, you know it's really good. So we take her to the lady who does the emotional freedom technique to tapping. And that night, you know, we made a story of the you make a third person story of like, and you tap on the stress. So even though this little girl's house burned down, she saw her dolls burning. It was so scary. And you're tapping on these meridian points. So scary, so scary, so stressful, so scary, so scary. But closed the loop. The family got a new house. The girl got new dolls. And the family lived happily ever after, right? Yep. Children love stories. The unconscious mind loves stories. So that night she went to sleep. 2 weeks healing. And she wasn't able to take a bath when, basically she wasn't able to take a bath. The alarms were going off when the fire started. They were up in a bath. So we went back to this lady. She wasn't able to take a bath pretty well that whole time, right? Like really, never complained once. She wasn't trying to get attention. She couldn't take a bath. We went back to see the lady 2 weeks later. She does a tapping on this, tapping, you know, even though I'm scared to take a bath, even though I'm scared to take a bath. And she says, can you see yourself, right, taking a bath at 4 o'clock when you get home today? And she says, no, I can't. She says, one more round. The lady does one more round. And she says, what about now? Can you see yourself? And she says, yeah, now that my daddy's, if my daddy's there. So that day at 4 o'clock, Nevaeh, time for your bath. She came in and she got in her bath. So me and my wife went, this tapping thing's crazy. So that's when I started. That was the middle of 2017 because it's already been like a whole year of hell. And started 2017. I started doing the tapping, right? I started doing some of this this programming. I'm up in the car that day. I did that big program to release, and these good things start happening. So I have 60 days to make $60,000. Okay, I put a big picture of the vision board, and we're almost done now. Okay, we're almost done. I put a big picture of the vision board of the school. I went down to a special printer and got a wide printing off. And I don't know if I'm supposed to be looking at the camera or you either, big guy. So it's kind of both, right? That's so big. Our brain works in pictures, so you want big pictures on your vision boards, right? Big, bright pictures. And so I make a big picture and put on the vision board. I made one of those little money funnels, you know, those little hospitals, sort of the hospital, like little thermometers that go up. And first time in my life, you guys, my adult life, all my life I was just paying rentals like, no, it's all good. Never once thinking about retirement, never once putting away 401ks or any of that sort of stuff. Just, you know, do. Like, I don't know what the hell my problem was until I started looking into it. Now I know what it is, which we'll tell you in a few minutes. But my unconscious did not feel worthy. So consciously I knew I have to work hard, but my unconscious mind knew I was a piece of crap. So I would just give money away all the time, pushing it away, never getting serious. But so every morning I'm in pretty big stress because, you know, if this deal doesn't go through, my lawyer said I can be sued because I created, I sent it, he said, you're losing your deposit for sure and you can be sued. And I really wasn't that scared of being sued because what can they take from me, right? Even though I could have been sued, right? And I want to be in integrity because I want to stay, I want this darn school. And our main priority going through all this chaos, and Matthias has asked me a few times, like, man, you're going all the way to the other side of the country. What were you thinking and stuff like that? And my whole thing was like, I'm almost 50, and rents are $2,000 a month now in BC. We were paying $2,000, $21,000, $23,000, and all within that time of, you know, that year and a half, we ended up in 2 or 3 different apartments after the house burned down. Okay, and the townhouse we were paying $1,600, but basically $2,000 a month every 4 years. That's $100,000. I said I'm not doing that, right? And I'm not able to live here, so I'm going to buy something on the East Coast for 40 grand, and I'm going to live mortgage free because we had put the word mortgage free up. And so we flew out here, saw the school, it was 100 grand. I said, okay, let's go. So every day I wake up in major stress going, oh my gosh, even though, and you tap, even though I'm stressing out, even though I am stressing out, that school is mine. The school is mine. I don't even have to worry about it because God and the universe know many different ways to make 60 grand in 60 days. Seriously, many ways. And I have lots of people out there who want work from me because I'm amazing and the work's just flowing. Phone rings, $10,000 job, you want it? Boom, basically go give an estimate and $10,000 job, yeah. I told you guys I hired 4 guys. So I have 4 guys working. This was in, I told you, we came back in April, came out here, looked at it in May. Now all of a sudden, now it's the start of June 15th, I put this thing in. I had that team from last year. Remember we had the 2 guys working all winter long? So we come back now and I'm like, okay, we're gonna crank up because it's summertime, you make all your money in painting, right? So it's possible, but I'd never done it before. And now there's a deadline. So here's the end now. Here's the end now. So every day I'm waking up and then we're having lunch with my friend Vince, who's a young 23-year-old painter who started working for me after I came back from in 2018, January, he started working for me. As soon as he started working for me, I gave him a raise because he was so good. And then he says, Maury, man, money's so hard to come by. Money's so hard to come by. And I said, excuse me, Vince, stop. And I turned around and I said, excuse me, don't ever say that again. I said, who can I help, right? Who can I help? Money's flowing everywhere. Who's got my money? Who can I help? The phone rings. And this construction builder goes, I got a big one for you. Want it? Ended up being a $20,000 contract. And I said, and literally, as I said that, I sat down, the phone rang. I say, see that, Vince? Don't ever say, it's flowing out there. There's so much work out there. Just go out and put it out there and you can get it. It's like a river. Yeah. Reach out. So I started helping this kid and he ended up wanting to be a pilot. Yeah. So I said, okay, what does it take to be a pilot? He says it takes pilot lessons and I need like, I think it was 80 hours, let's say, or something like that, and they're $200 an hour. I said, well, get started, you're 23. You're gonna be 50 one day and the time's gonna go by and you're gonna do this, or you're gonna do this, or you're gonna do this. And no one cares if you do this. No one cares if you do this, the same, or you can do this. So he starts doing it. So now contracts are coming in. August 13th, literally, you guys, we need 100 grand. I had bought the Sprinter van for 11, a big old Mercedes Sprinter van. It was like only 6 years old from one of these companies that drive up and down. So it was 300,000 kilometers. And they kind of wanted, so it was 11 grand. So it's like, wow, silver, beautiful, bought it. And I was painting around with it and all that sort of stuff. And now we put a for sale sign on it, 15 grand. About a week before, and I'm down at like 67, 70, and all of a sudden I'm like, okay, this guy wants to buy the van. I really hope he buys it. We go out and meet him. 10 days before the deadline, he buys it. So now we got, let's just say 85. And then I make like another 5 or something like that. The guy calls on the 13th of August and says, we're like a week behind with the oil tank. Is it okay if we wait a week? And I said, yeah, sure, no problem. Because remember, I'd sent the letter saying I have the money. I sent the deposit. And I said, yeah, sure, no problem. I hung up. I was like, oh, my God, thank God. Because we were 7 grand short. Yeah. And another week goes by. I get up to like, I actually needed $104,450 or something like that. I have the check. Yeah. And I'll print it off. And I'm going to put it on the wall. I'll show it to you. I have this check of me with this. So he calls back in a week and says, you know what, we need another week. And I said, yeah, sure, no problem, because we were like 3,000 short now, right? Hung up, and then I was like, oh my God. So September 1st, he calls and says, are you ready to do the transfer? I says, I sure am. Yeah. Sent the money, did the transfer, and we are mortgage free. Yeah. Like, so 2018, put up the word mortgage free. A year and a half later, August 2019, we bought this school, and I'd been talking about a school for like literally a decade. And so
and it happened.
Magical. And the stress, like and I pinch myself, right? Like I'm so happy here. We got a garden outside there. I got a hockey rink in the back. You guys, I'm playing hockey with my girls who love it on my property and my rink. And last 2 months ago, it's winter starting, I put it out there saying I need a better rink this year. $100 on the buy and sell, the used stuff. This guy puts it out there on Facebook. I have an old rink. It's pretty well brand new. Sorry, all the wood, $700 worth of wood. You can have it for $125. So I go pick it all up, and you see that rink we have.
That's great. So no, but I don't think you said it's like magic. I don't think it's magic. I think it's your mindset that you put in.
Yes.
And suddenly you saw opportunities, and you grabbed these opportunities.
Yeah.
And it didn't come just like this because you believed. It's not just. I think it's not enough just to believe in something. You still have to grab then this opportunity. I think because your mindset was, you were open for opportunities. You saw them suddenly. You saw that there's money to make. You saw the opportunities. And I think that's great. But
I had the why, right? My why.
You had the why. Why do you want to? Exactly, absolutely. And well, it was quite like a long story now. You know, you took us really basically on a roller coaster ride. The whole thing, the whole story, it's chaos. It's
scared crapless.
It's chaos. It's a roller coaster.
Imagine every day, you guys. Every day during that day, I don't have the money, and also I'm putting everything into this. It's going to go in my wife's name because I'm going to have to pay taxes and all that, which we still are paying, right? Because I got back like 30 grand. I was like, you know, I'm 17 grand owing. And part of the business, I have no problem with that. You know, you can owe the government. But I said, this is going in her name. No one's going to be able to touch us. But that whole roller coaster was scary every day.
Well, that's the thing. Is you say it was scary. And I don't mind, you didn't do it alone. You have two beautiful girls. You have a great wife. So they were with you on that roller coaster ride. I mean, you said it. Your daughter had PTSD from the house burning down. I mean, how did they react when you said, hey, I want to travel across the whole country, going from west to east, start a new life with a new school, and that was quite a risk. And how did they react?
Let's go! We're buying a whole school. Oh my God. You guys, really, really critical, very good question, because it sounds like I really was like, me, all heart. I told you I was a little bit flighty before, and a lot of times my brother and my dad would say, why don't you get like 6 guys and take this seriously? And I'm saying, no, because I'm writing a book. And I've told Matthias about a few of these other businesses I had going on, and I was always painting to pay the bills, but always going to launch another business. But fundamentally, the love of our little house, so the girls, and my parents got divorced when I was young, and it wasn't there, so I've realized that now, and I'm 20 years sober, so I've done work, and I'm doing work, and I realize I want to be there for them. So even though, unlike like my main man here, who's like this is just reality talking, like here's a really responsible guy who's like, no, I'm going to go do this. And meanwhile, I was doing all these dreams. I'm like, I'm going to get this business launched, I'm going to do this. I really could have took painting seriously. Now in retrospect, when you look back, I'm like, wow, what was I thinking? And once again, my unconscious mind was never feeling worthy, because we'll get to that. But so we make mistakes, but the love was always there, and we always had such a good friendship. And a lot of times, because I have my own painting business, in this town where there's always empty, I'd wake up, have breakfast with the girls, rock, and then I'd go rock. And at some jobs, when the pressure was on, the girls would even come to the job sites with us. We'd set them up in a clean room, and my wife, who's Polish, she's like 12 years younger than me, so she's like so hard worker. And this is before I started hiring guys on, but you know, during those first few years in Whistler, in the first 7 or 8 years of the girl's life, like the first young, either way, once we needed it, the family would come together and we'd put our heads down. And we went to Mexico 3 times, like I told you, for 2.5 months, right? Because of painting and because living in Whistler and not putting away towards the future. And the first time we went down there in 2010 when my daughter was young, I said, Dad, we just bought this house in Saskatchewan. I'm going down there on my line of credit. And my dad, who's old school, he said, Maury, no, you don't do that. No one does that. And I said, I'm doing it, and we're doing it. And now when I look back, like no one's ever taken that away from us. 2.5 months in Mexico, and I might be 70 one day kicking myself, but you don't ever want to be. You don't want to be a 70-year-old with no money, right? That's what's pushing me and making me focus and taking action. I've told Matthias, I have to now become a professional with the school and launch all these big ideas I have. So the girls loved it. We drove across, and we have, you've met them, right? We have a pretty unique type thing like it. And now they're 12 and 13 now, so they're reading all the time. They love reading. They're homeschooling, and we're skating on the rink now. It's starting to freeze now. We had 1 day so far with the weather, right? So we froze. And now for the next 2.5, 3 months, we're going to be playing hockey. So lots of love and never an issue. But everybody else, like our parents, are you insane? How are you going to heat that thing? We had 2 people literally say, Maury, you're going to die out there. It's the east coast of Canada. Supposedly there's not money out here, but meanwhile it's big, empty, clean highways, blue skies, friendly people. All the cars are nice. It's Canada. But everybody out there who's paying $2,000 to $5,000 a month rent, actually even more, because a $2 million house would be an $8,000 more. It's ridiculous. We don't understand how. No one understands how people in Canada are doing it. So The girls loved it. And when we pulled up here, my oldest one, we pulled up to the front of the school. It was just starting to kind of get dark. You know, all the front, in 2012, they shut the school down. And in 2012, they put a $100,000 septic system in. And then 2012 was the last year. So 2013 till we bought it in 2019. We come out here December 1st, basically. We bought it in August, but we didn't actually get out here because we had to finish some contracts out there. We get out here, my daughter goes, we said, what do you think? And she says, I have no words. We slept in the school the first night. There were sounds. We all slept in one room, and we're doing some tapping. Even though we're in this big, scary school, and we're hearing some scary noises, I'm letting that go, and I love myself completely. We all slept in that same room for that entire winter, actually. And then I built them lofts. Now I built, you know, it needed some work, but the foundation, all it needed was painting, and that's what I did for 30 years. So.
But still, it was an abandoned place. Like, you have to imagine, like, I mean, people have to visualize that there were no windows, and stuff was damaged, and there was lots of stuff lying around, and it was
all the windows were here, but like I said, they hadn't been painted in 7-8 years, so they were all flaky and crusty. A few broken windows, but the neighborhood is really super safe, and over the 70 years, the neighborhood had invested in this building, so. It's unbelievable shape. I mean, it just needed caulking and painting, and it needs a new heating system.
Right.
He never complains about it. So I wanted to say one thing, you guys. He shows up here and he says, no, don't worry, the heat's good, because the whole school's cold. We have the water system is on, pumping the water through the radiators, but where we live, we have a wood heater, and where Matthias lives, he has electrical heaters. So our rooms are warm, but the halls are all like, you know, 5-6 degrees Celsius. So. But they're not freezing, and the pipes won't freeze, but I'm not putting $15,000 into the oil heater because that's ridiculous. And he says, oh man, don't worry, I don't even need hot water because I take cold showers. And I said, I've been dabbling in cold showers. He says, no, I've been doing it for 3 years. I said, what about the soap and washing all the soap off? He says, no, cold. And I'm like, no, you got to do hot first and then cold, because that's what I've been doing, right? Hot shower, 20 seconds at the end. And he's like, no, cold. So we started, me and my wife, I've started doing that now, just cold. And my wife now is throwing on the cold at the end. She's not quite, you know, with all her hair and shampoo, but she puts the cold water, and you know it's cold here.
It is.
It's winter now. We're on a well. It's coming. It's like 8 degrees Celsius. So, and we jumped in the lake last New Year's Day, and there's probably some pictures.
Yeah.
Big dreams. Oh, thanks for listening, you guys. All right, we're out of here now. Have a good day. Just kidding.
No, we're not done yet. No, let's go back. You had your own painting business. You made $60,000 in 60 days with your painting business. Yeah. That could be like $365,000 in a year.
$1,000 a day was my goal. Easy.
That was it. You did that. But did you never have any doubts? You know, after doing this, $60,000 in 60 days, your business was going. Did you never have any doubts? You know what? I'm going back to that painting. This is really cool. No. Why didn't you stay in the painting? Like, it worked.
Because for 30 years, you guys, okay, I was 15, living in the streets, kicked out, in and out of jails, right? And then when I was 15, my uncle took me in for a few months. I started having my first alcohol, got wasted. Threw up in his house, come down to the breakfast table, and there's a bag of puke on the table. My uncle was, you know, this is no good. You're getting a job. So he got me a job painting. Summer of 2000, I'm 15 years old, born in 70, so 1985. And from that summer, I'm always thinking I could maybe sue my uncle as a joke because he got me into painting. Yep. And I've always hated painting, right? It's toxic. It sucks. I want to be doing public speaking. I've written a book. I've written screenplays. But I always go back to my safety zone, right? Because that first money you start getting in, so we have to be very careful with our kids and our young kids, right? Because that 50 years is going to go by. Matthias is getting a pension, working a fun, exciting job, military fun. And I started the military when I was 18. I walked in. So I started drinking at 15, you guys, started partying, started becoming the guy who's the most wasted all the time. And every party has the guy who's the most wasted. And I turned 18, and me and my friend walked into the Scottish Brigade in Toronto to join the army because a friend of mine told us, this is amazing. And I'm basically still living on the streets, still on my act together. I don't know where I was living at this time, but I'm 18. Might have had an apartment or something like that, or renting some room, but always just chaos. We walk into the military, me and my alcoholic friend, and the guy says the colonel or the sergeant or whatever is busy right now, but there's the mess hall there, and they have $1 beers. right? So we said, $1 beer is okay. So all of a sudden we go over there, pound like 2 or 3 down, and then all of a sudden we're downtown Toronto hitting all the bars, right? Never went back. And that's a big moment in my life. And so I tell 20-year-olds right now, hey, get a job as a school teacher or work for the government or like something like where you're going to have a pension, because those 30 years go by quick. And unless you're a major entrepreneur, you might want to think about getting a job. So, you know, we weren't taught about this. So,
so you were never really, you were not happy with your job?
So
you were not happy?
Oh yeah, so 20 years painting, and after about the first 10 years of all that chaos in my 20s, at 30, at 26, I went to the mountains when my grandma died. I walked up to the top of the mountains in California, Northern California, and I wrote a script. Like maybe 30 pages of a script, and I came home and over like the...
Like a movie script?
Yeah, over the course of a year, finished the script. And I gave it to a lot of people, a lot of friends, and you know, I don't want to toot my own horn or whatever, because we all think it's so good, but people loved it. Even though they're just friends who don't mean anything, right? And I never written a script, never did anything about it, and without the right mindset, and without the right coaching, without the right family love, without the... So if you ask a person on a scale of 1 to 10, how unworthy do you feel? A lot of people might say 4 or 7, and this whole like Black Lives movement and stuff like that and all this, everybody feels unworthy, right? Everybody feels unworthy, and if you feel unworthy and your parents were divorced, you know, you're going to sabotage. So every time I'd launch a business, I'm painting, and then I'd be like, okay, I'm going to write this movie, and I'm really focused on this movie, then I write the script, and I call up a few uncles or something like that, thinking about I can get some money, and always have this energy, always positive guy. But now I'm learning now that I was always doing the wrong program. And if you're running around positive, really positive your whole life, saying, I hate painting, this is my last paint job ever. So for 20 years, I literally said, this is my last paint job ever. Then I'd launch, I wrote a book, and when I was like 39 or so, called Even Salt Has Sugar. Hold on a sec. I'm not trying to promote this book. You can't even buy it right now. So, oh yeah, so check this out, you guys. So this book was so much fun. And like, it's Even Salt Has Sugar, and all the conspiracy, the Twin Towers, we had books, put all this work into it. And then I get 1,100 copies dropped off at my door. And I'm about to start, I go to the farmers markets and I start selling, and I put 5 copies in some bookstores and put 5 copies in other bookstores, and I'm painting and I'm painting. And without having publisher, without having an agent, if you don't have an agent, you can't get published. If you've never been published, you can't get an agent. It's this crazy oxymoron that stops people who have low self-esteem. And during my 20s, I was alcoholic, which means there's low self-esteem. It's as simple as that. There's something wrong if you're alcoholic getting wasted, right? So all my life, hating painting, always being positive, and then I would start a business. All these books showed up. And then as soon as the books are there, 1,100 copies of my books, you guys, I'm starting to sell them. I said to my wife, I got to launch this organic clothing company. So I got these organic clothing, 5,000 t-shirts ordered, right? Over like a 6-month period. 5,000 organic t-shirts at $10 each. We put labels on them. Instead of like 100, but you need each size for people. You need girls, you need each color. So like, maybe not 5,000, maybe it was 500 times $10. So $5,000 worth of t-shirts, okay, sorry. All the embroidering, labeling, and I'm like, I'm going to sell this, and my book is just going to get swept up in it because it's going to be my book and the t-shirt company. And so we start selling all these t-shirts. And as soon as we're selling all the t-shirts, my brain, I hit the upper limit, my glass ceiling, I'm like, wait a sec, things are going good. I'm supposed to be a screw-up idiot. And I never knew any of this stuff was happening, but I was sabotaging everything. So then I'm like, so I'm doing really good with the book, and then all of a sudden, wait a sec, I got to do this t-shirt company. And I'm doing really good with the t-shirt company. It's like, wait a sec, I got to launch this thing called the Land Project. We're going to get people, families, 50 families pitching $20,000 each to buy 200 acres in Canada, because they were all over the place, huge big acres. So I'd say, look, this piece of property is available. Started having people pay deposits, sabotage that, kept painting, house burns down, and all of a sudden, so when it came to, and if my wife was here, she'd say like, the reason I never took it seriously, and sometimes I'd subcontract for other painters and stuff like that, and she says, because Maury, you're always saying you're getting out of painting. And if I'm always saying I'm getting out of painting, the unconscious mind, all it hears is painting. So imagine for 30 years if I would have said, you know what, I'm launching a coaching company or a big dreams school that's going to help people do digital, you know, imagine every day I was saying those words. And I did start saying those words for 10 years, and then God literally says, okay, we're burning down your house because you need help, dude. You're not taking enough action. And whichever way we want to think about it, magic or focus or something like that, but when they say the law of attraction, if you really know where you're going and you're putting that energy out there, the quantum particles, they're sort of proving that it is coming. whether it's magic or focus or whatever we want to call it, but we really do have all this power. So whoever you are, if you have that big idea of yours that you're really, really dying to do and you're afraid to take action, you know for a fact, and I know and you know, that you'll never, ever, ever, ever be truly happy until you jump. And jumping is going to be scary. And if you're scared, that means you're on the right path because it's exciting.
Yeah. So you were sabotaging yourself, you said.
Always.
And you were also talking about, you mentioned it, and when you were, you mentioned you went to visit the military, you were young, like, you know, and with your uncle and everything. You were in prison, you said also a couple times, I think, and you mentioned alcohol, and how did that happen? Or what was the reason? Why you were really on the wrong track?
The reason was, it's kind of funny. I mean, here he is, you know, Dad, I love you. You know, I love you. And you know, a lot of times when we talk, you say, oh no, I have a poverty mentality, and you'll make jokes about that, and we all make jokes about our stuff and stuff like that. But divorce is hard on kids. Yeah. And when our parents got divorced, I went down to the States and Mom, I love you too. I 100% love you, but we don't have much relationship. I haven't seen her in like 30 years. And she lives up in Alaska, and at one point in my life, I was 47 years old, and I'm asking this, I did a little hypnotherapy, paid a guy like $150, and does the little hypnotherapy stuff. He starts asking questions, why? And he's asking about these, you know, why were you in jail? Why was all this stuff happening? Why would you want to be the most wasted person all the time? And I said, there was this time when my mom lined us all up at 6 years old, and I'm not trying to say this to get attention and make you, it's just, this is what happened. So she lined us all up and spit in our face, okay? Like literally, and she said, you suck, you're a piece of crap, and you're never going to amount to nothing. And they're 6 years old, and what I've learned now is from 0 to 7, you're open sponges. Whatever your parents are doing or saying, especially what they're doing, you're like writing it down, saying this is how reality is. So if every day your parent comes in and yells about, there's not enough money, there's not enough money, there's not enough money. Just like if your parents came in every day and said, imagine money was called Australians. We talked about this earlier. Imagine money was called Australians, and every day your dad came home and said, damn it, there's not enough Australians to pay the bills. Damn Australians, there's not enough Australians. And you're in the womb and you hear Australians, and then you're 1 year old. Hey Dad, can I go get that? No, we don't have enough Australians. Mom, can I get this? No, there's not enough. You're like, and that's what I was growing up in. Then every time you ask for them, there's not enough Australians / money. So for the rest of your life, every time you saw an Australian, you'd push that away. So every time I got money, I was a hard worker. My dad said, you have to work hard for a living. So I'm always a hard worker in my conscious mind, but my unconscious mind would push it away. And this is where my sabotage was coming in, because my 6-year-old, you know, the inner child, whatever you want to talk to, my program, you guys know about mindset. We're programmed, and a lot of us are running emotions from our youth. And this tapping thing can help us remove it. So for example, tapping would go like this. How much unworthy do I feel from that moment when my mom spit in my face? And then you go, okay, it's so stressful. How much was the stress? 10, 9, 8. And you kind of get stuck there. So you do tapping on that. And I've done the tapping. That's why I can talk about it now. And I've released that. And now that's why there's more flowing to me. Because if there's blocks, you're literally like blocking the universe. Because everything's out there. Everything's out there. And the only thing that's stopping it is our beliefs. So jail sucked. In and out of jails. 7 months of my life in jails. My dad kicked me out when I was 15, living in the streets, walking around. You know, it was unbelievable. Worst moment of my life. Worst moment of my life. We had talked a little bit earlier. He said, there's some questions I'll ask you, and maybe start thinking. Yep. Thank you. And one of the worst moments of my life was I'm sleeping in my friend's dad's garage, and I was a goalie, like a star goalie, right? And my dad, we talked about why this happened. I don't know why this is, maybe, but 13 or 14, I'm the star goalie. There's 13 goalies trying out for this team. We're down to 3. And my dad says, no, this is getting too competitive for you. And during this tryout, we're doing skating drills where you skate from red line, blue line, red line, blue line. You know, and this guy goes, that goalie's the best skater out there. And my dad goes, that's my boy. And I'm just like all proud because you want to make your dad proud. The next day, he says, this is getting too competitive. I'm pulling you out. And I'm like, what are you talking about pulling me out? So at that point, I sort of started to slide a little, but I think in retrospect, when I'm looking back, even though there's no excuse, right? I could have said, no, sorry, dude, I'm going. And I could have got in a cab and gone, right? But you're always trying to impress your dad. It's a stupid thing for a dad to do in reality. Yeah. Same time. So I started partying and all that sort of stuff. Drinking, getting wasted. And walking down from my friend's garage, 6 in the morning, his dad caught me in the garage. He said, he's a Filipino friend. He says, you got to get out of here. So he kicks me out. I'm walking down across to go to the apartment buildings across and wait for someone to sneak in so I can go in the stairwell. I used to sleep in the stairwell in the apartment building, on the very top floor. And you roll your jacket up under your sleeve like this. Because you're on the top floor up in the stairwell, you know no one's going to go up there because no one's going on the roof. So if someone comes down on the 20th floor to go down, they're always going to go down, and you're hiding up there. So it's warm because hot air rises too. So I'm sleeping there for a long time. And then I'd sleep in my friends' cars and stuff like that too. So the worst moment of my life, you guys, like walking down with my blanket, 6 a.m., I'm walking down and all of a sudden my dad's blue van comes and we lock eyes and then he goes to work. And I walk across with basically like sleep in my eye and feeling like crap, right? And, you know, smoking all the marijuana, getting wasted and all that sort of stuff. So, you know, and now I'm doing the work. And, you know, like one of the things I want to start doing is going to the prisons and talking to people about this, you know, removing these things because these kids feel like crap. They really do. And you see them when the riffy ones. You know, they just, like they're all sarcastic and they're telling you F off and they're like, you just know and if you ask them, actually I met an older guy, you know, in his 60s who does a lot of this kind of work and he goes into places and helps people. And one of the things you ask in hypnotherapy and sort of stuff is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you love yourself? On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you love yourself? And a lot of like my friend's kid who's 15, it's like he couldn't say the word. My daughter's, my sister's daughter who's having some issues, she's 21, 22 and into some of the drugs. And I've been helping her on the phone, doing some good work. And I said, how much do you love yourself? Say, I love myself completely. And they can't say it. Imagine not being able to say, I love myself completely. So
you were not able for a long time.
Probably not.
And now you are.
Oh yeah, I love myself completely. Big Dreams Club! And you know, the divorce, you think it's all your fault, then all of a sudden you're down. Oh, and when my mom spit in my face, and when at 47 years old, this hypnotherapist asked me, you know, he kept going, why? Digging why? Digging why? Then all of a sudden he says, who are you mad at? And I'm like, oh my God, I'm mad at my dad because he's supposed to be there, right? He's supposed to be there. So that's why, even though I may not have made the most money and made some of the smartest decisions, I'm always there for them. And like, you guys, they're 12 and 13 right now, and they still ask me to tuck them in at night. They say, Daddy snuggles? And I still snuggle with them at nighttime. Like, this is awesome. Very lucky guy.
So now we were talking about your past, about your teenage years and all that, about all this. If you were now going to Moncton, going there, and the miracle would happen, and you would meet 15, 16-year-old Maury. You would come across yourself at 15, 16. What would you tell him?
I would tell him, I'd say, holy moly. Okay, big hug. Hey, buddy, big hug. Here you are. This is me. Now, I know you're not going to listen to me, but if you can listen, seriously, here you are now, 16. Here you are at 50. The time is going to go by, right? And you can do this. You can do down here, do crack, drugs. No one cares. I'll still love you. Or you can start stepping those goals and, you know, take 10% away from every paycheck, 10% away from every paycheck, every paycheck. You're going to start having a pile here. Every paycheck, no matter what you're doing, save, because you're going to be 50. It is you. And this guy right now is going to be 70. So now I'm thinking about that 70-year-old guy. I want to make him proud. So I want you to make me proud. You're 16 right now. If you would have asked me to go back to when you were 10 or 8, I would say be a professional goalie. But at 16, it's a little bit late, maybe. Oh my God, that's a deep question because it's probably not. Depending on if I see you. But seriously, if you're 10, if any one of us could go back to being 10, probably most of us would say I'm going to be a professional, and you would go to each team. You would be the hardest worker guy on each team. You'd do all the drills of speed drills. Goaltending's not hard. Everybody's got the basics, right? And then it's all repetition, repetition, repetition. Mindset, mindset, mindset. So to answer your question, I'd give him a big hug. I'd say you are worthy. You are enough. You are loved. Okay? If you have a big idea that's scaring you, from right now, start conditioning that muscle of, we all hearing it now, getting comfortable, being uncomfortable. And take it. And I said, what's your big dream? Do right now, what is it? And he'd give me an answer. I'd say, okay, go do it. What are you waiting for? I just told you, you know. But
now, like you said before, That you love yourself, you're a happy person. You're an upbeat, happy person. I can tell that. Like, you know, that's like, and you say it yourself, and I believe you. So, in retrospect, do you regret anything? Or do you say, no, that's how it had to be, that I'm at the place right now where I am, and that's where I want to be? Or is there anything you would say, no, that I definitely would change, or I regret something?
Yeah, you know, with the work that we're doing, and you know, we're doing the daily journaling, we're doing the cold showers, we're doing the running, my wife and I, we're doing the mindset with the girls, we're learning. This is the Big Dreams Club. I realized this is where I have to go. So I had like radio frequencies, I have to get to this level. And one of the best ways to get to that level is constantly be grateful, constantly be thankful. And every time you spend your money, thank God I'm rich, right? Thank God I'm rich. For 30 years, every time I spend money, and you're programming that, I'm broke, I don't have enough. So now, hey, thank God I'm rich. And for this last few years, we've gone through some chaos, right? COVID, right? There's been some chaos. Oh my gosh. And every time that oh my gosh came up, and I said, no, thank God I'm rich. And I focus on that big, bright picture where I'm going. So to answer your question, of course there's regrets. But when I listen to like, doesn't matter, but he always mentions, he says, because he's 74 right now, and he's a public speaker. He was broke. He's a black gentleman, if that's proper to say nowadays. I don't know. A person of color. He's like 74. Big, amazing, big public speaker. And he always tells his story. And unbelievable story. Oh my God, brain fart. Put it in the notes. We'll put it in the notes. But he always talks about regrets. He says, boy, if I would have just started earlier, because he waited till 40. So one of my regrets is, one of the biggest regrets I have, for sure, which I don't think about too much just now that you asked me, one of the biggest regrets would be, not to have taken hockey seriously. Because when you look now, it's so easy, right? $8 million a year, it is easy. A lot of people say it's extremely hard work. This is the one thing I'm really learning right now, is that balance. Sure, it's hard work, but could you allow it to be easy? For example, getting up every morning, jumping in that cold lake, or going for that 12-kilometer jog, doing those deep stretches, that's actually easy, right? It's a lot easier than painting houses for a living. But you have to do it. And if you do it with a smile and you get music on and you get that rocky, so with the right mindset, big dreams can be easy. So the regrets, I don't regret my family. I love them so much. I'm grateful for that. I regret that in 2015, 6 years ago, that I didn't launch more of my digital marketing stuff. I launched a business, got 1,000 clicks, got 300 shares, and then sort of Google did one of these Google slaps and said, you're not allowed to say make money online. And I allowed that to affect me. Now, 7 years later, so I would have took more action on the amazing ideas I have. And so there's always going to be some, but I'm really conscious of the fact that you and I, we're going to be at 80 on our deathbed one day, or maybe 90, maybe 100. I'm thinking 140 actually, because there's crazy stuff happening right now, right? And in 10 years, there's a possibility of drinking a drink that'll go down and reprogram your DNA to reprogram it to a 35-year-old body. Like it's crazy. We're just bodies, right? And now they're already talking about uploading our consciousness into computers. You know, the lady who does the Sirius satellite radio. That story's unbelievable. But so not too many regrets. And I am positive, I am pinching myself. And at the same time, I do realize that I'm sort of very happy, still happy with where I am. And I keep coming back to that happiness, but I have to still take action right now. And it's January right now, and I have the Big Dreams Club. I have these great ideas, which are just useless if you don't take action. So now, it's time for action. I need to help people, right? And you said, we talked about regrets right now. You said before you said that gratefulness is very important. You say, hey, thank you, I'm rich. For what are you thankful for? What are you grateful for, and what makes you rich? The mortgage free, okay? Another quick little story about money comes to me easily. Money comes to me easily. Money comes easily. It's a new story, right? When we first came here, we bought the original agreement was 100 grand for the school, but it's on a 3-acre property, and those 2 acres, there's another 2 acres, and that was going to be $50,000 more. So we only had 100 grand. And right from the very start, it was in my wife's name, but there was an agreement that if we don't pay X amount of dollars, it's going to get sold. Yeah. And that first year, we never paid the X amount of dollars. And then the owner came, and he was a really great guy, and he says, no, it's already an agreement. You just have to start paying me. We're like, really? Oh, I thought you want, we thought it was $50,000 or we're going to lose it. He says, well, that's one part of it, but it says here, or 10% a year, and we sort of knew that, but I thought he was going to sell it out from underneath us, personally. So all of a sudden, we started paying him $1,000 a month, and the contract was $50,000, 10% interest a year, so $500 a month is basically just the interest, because that's $5,000 interest a year, basically, exactly. So paying $500 a month, which would be $6,000, but either way, long story short, I gave him $1,000 a month, so it's a little bit more, and then we just kept saying, hey, I started writing in the diary. I started writing in the diary, wow, the land's paid off, the land's ours, you know, these things. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, my wife's dad is a Polish immigrant to Canada, hardworking, amazing with his hands, amazing guy, always doing all this woodwork, but he started doing work with CN, Canadian Rail. Yeah. And in Edmonton, it's minus 50 a lot. Very cold winters. Yeah. And legally, there'd be a derailment, so he'd have 16 hours of work derailment outside, and not stopping, not even eating, and then he'd drive home, 1 hour home, 6 hours to thaw out, and then 1 hour back, because legally they could have him back 8 hours later. And he did this, never complained, worked hard, saved his money, and now all of a sudden, he's like 70, he's like calling us and saying, hey, I want to help you guys buy the trees, we're going to send you $1,000. Hey, we want to help you get the girls, 6 months, we want to help you girls get this sort of stuff. And then he calls us and says, you guys, how much are you paying in the interest? And we said, oh, $5,000. He says, but I said, Mitch, don't worry. We have the land. We secured it. I'm so proud we secured it. And the guy didn't sell it. Because, you know, that land's important, right? 2 acres right beside your school. He says, you know, I want to just pay for it for you guys. And we're like, what? He says, yeah, don't even worry about paying me back or anything like that. Maybe we can talk about that later. And he has this big, like kid smile on his face, like giddy smile. And for that whole year and a half, every time the land stress would come up, I would just say, hey man, money comes to me easily, we're paying him off money, there's nothing to worry about. Instead of, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, right, all that stress. And then all of a sudden out of nowhere, he calls us and says, yeah, I'm gonna pay for it all. And so now it's just like, and unbelievable, and just sort of more magic, right? So, was that part of an answer at all?
No, it's good.
It's grateful for that. Sorry, grateful for that. Grateful for being mortgage free. Grateful we have a yard out there with we have a yard. We own a piece of land with a yard, and it's a big yard. It's a big garden, 40 feet by 25 feet maybe. And my wife's doing the compost garden. You guys, you put cardboard down, okay, and then you put 6 inches of pure compost on it, and then you put the plants in, and then the cardboard starts to dissolve, but that stops the weed from growing through, and compost has a lot more life in it than soil. So we've got this amazing garden, it's full, and every year, it's called no-till, so you don't turn it over, every year you put another inch of compost. So I'm pinching myself that I have an amazing family, that I have a big dreams club to help people do great things, and I will have regrets in a year or 2 years if I don't find, like for 8 years now, I literally had the same business idea that I've been talking to you about, and now I have the school. So,
so let's take a look in the future.
Okay.
So let's say if ever possible, I will come back this year. All right. Let's say I come back in December or November, and where will the Big Dreams Club be in a year's time? Where will this school be in a year's time when I come back? Now you have to say it.
Okay. And now remember, this is the Big Dreams Club, not to stay small and just piddle along. Okay, this is the Big Dreams Club, and the guy Grant Cardone, who's on the internet right now, his whole thing is 10x. If you want to make $100,000, that's your cap. 100,000. You might as well say $1 million. Because then you're going to easily hit the 100,000. But if 100,000 is your cap, that's, right? So $1 million. So, and I'm planning on doing this, right now I actually am launching this to have digital marketing classes where we work together and the classes actually spend real money. So I won't get into it too much, but basically in a nutshell, every marketing school on the planet right now, you go there and you learn a bunch of marketing and you spend a lot of money on the marketing class on the school, high school, college, university, whatever, and you spend all this money, and then you go home, and when you actually launch your own business, you have to spend money on actual Facebook ads. You're going to be like, And Facebook ads can suck a lot of money. So we're going to launch the world's first digital marketing night school that uses real money. And our classes of like 20 people are going to get together, pitch in $25 each. So now the team has $500 in its purse. And they're going to find a product to pay. On the internet, you can promote any product you want, any coaching promote. You could promote Tony Robbins products. He's got a $2,000 product. You could put a link on your website. A person clicks on that. Or you could put a link on Facebook. A person clicks over to Tony Robbins and buys a $2,000 product. He gives like 30% commission. So that's a $600 sale. And all you got to do is place the ads. So we're going to have first ever digital marketing night school where the teams spend $500 a week testing real ads to real products, and we're going to test our ads in one state or province. And imagine if we see real results, you'll be able to go home and place those exact same ads in your own 3 states. So I'm launching that, and I have all the space in the school, so I literally could have, and because I think it's an important goal, like one of the goals I really want to get serious about is having like Facebook, Google, and YouTube working hard for me. I make some videos where I'm out kiteboarding, and then I'll stand there and I'll say, hey guys, right now my ads are running. This is true, because my ads will be running. We'll be doing these workout and these yoga classes because we have the school. We do workout classes, yoga classes, these rebounding classes, and we're going to do classes. Our little pitch, our tagline is classes, workshops, and events to help you actually launch that big dream. And we're going to have classes to help you lose weight. We're going to have the mindset classes and the digital marketing classes. So where will I be in a year if I get these teams of 20 working together and everyone's actually an affiliate who's invested and really gets like a 50% commission? We can go through the roof. So my goal really seriously at the end of this year, which is 365 short days away, is because I'm realizing he's going to be back here in a year from now, right? And this is like, and I know exactly what I'm talking about. That thing I just said is huge. If anyone takes it, I just want 10%. And you guys, 3 different businesses making multiple millions of dollars each, which means over 1. So $2 million and plus. And if you have a $1,000 product, right now, if you have a $1,000 product and you sell it in one state, you test a bunch of ads in like Toronto, and you sell 20 of those products, and you now have 20,000. All you have to do is get that right ad funnel, the right product, have some sort of product for $1,000 or $2,000. And a lot of the experts don't really talk about this much, but if you want to make $1 million, which is a lot of us do, you could have a 99-cent app. You need 1 million sales, right? If you have a $10,000 product, how many sales do you need?
For how much?
To make $1 million.
You get 10,000 bucks?
Yeah, 10,000 per sale. How many sales do you need?
100.
You need 100.
Yeah.
So imagine a $10,000 ski package to Alaska. To go to Alaska, helicopter skiing, and maybe you make 4,000 gross, but it's a $10,000 package. So if you have a $1,000 product, you need 1,000 sales in a year. Divided by 365 days is only 2.7 sales a day. So once again, just to trigger your brain, if you had 20 people in one city giving you $1,000, and you launch those exact same ads in 50 cities, that is $1 million. And that's what the big guys are doing. They're testing ads in one state. So that's what we're going to do at the Big Dreams Club. It's going to be pretty exciting.
So when
I'm not trying to sell you on nothing either.
So when I come back in a year, you will have three $1 million businesses.
No, more than 1 million.
More than 1 million.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which means three different businesses with more than like $2 million gross. Or more than 1 million, easy math. Yeah. More than 1 million gross, okay? Which, because depends on the profit margins and all that sort of stuff, but there's going to be profit because they're digital products, right?
And so you probably will be on lots of podcasts, but I can say you were the the first. With me, that's cool.
Yes, you are the first.
When somebody listened that and said, "Hey, one of my listeners or viewers," and he says like he's a millionaire, billionaire, whatever, who knows what and he says, "Hey, I like that Maury. He has so much energy. He convinced me. I'm going to give him $1 million just to lounge his stuff, or whatever, or not lounge it. He just gives it to you. What would you do with this $1 million?"
Maury who? What? When my father-in-law gave us this $50,000, he sent it over, and there's lawyers involved, and he's like, make sure you get the receipts and all this sort of stuff. And we're doing this on Skype. I said, don't worry, Mitch. We'll call you from Italy. I said, don't worry, we'll call you from Italy. So to the investor, I'm not going to the beach, okay? I'm not going to the beach. I'm not disappearing with your money, okay? when we were in Thailand for those 90 days, we were talking about this with my wife. After like a few weeks of vacation, it's like, okay, I've had enough now of walking, sitting on a bus. Like I want to be working. So with $1 million, first of all, if you do want to invest, I mean, you don't want, but it's this imaginary person. I would literally say, hey, let's have a phone call, or I'll make you a 1-hour video right now of the exact plan to turn that $1 million into a lot of money, helping people in 200 countries. That little class I just told you about can easily be in 200 countries, because 20 people right now in Mexico City would love to go to a school that's spending $500 every single week testing real ads to real products, and they're actually making real money. They would love it. Like, they'd love it. This is a $1 billion idea, because all the schools are just talking theory, and theory is useless in the real world. It is. It's useless. Not that having a good degree can't get you a good job, but AI is coming, and you can always sell with a lot of fear. But the fact is, AI is coming to take a lot of jobs, and there is going to be a huge transition, but at the same time, there's a huge opportunity. And one of the huge opportunities is mindset and entrepreneurship, and especially if anybody, every single week for an entire year, literally spend $24,000 in real money on real ads with the goal of making real money. So that's what I would do. We'd get together, we'd launch this, and we'd make that into a huge, that's what's happening anyway. So
if people want to reach you now, if that millionaire, but also other people want to reach you, they say they want to talk to you or whatever, how can they reach you? Or even if they want to come here for the Airbnb, or if they want to talk to you.
BigDreamsClub.com! And any one of your thoughts, if you're going through a bunch of stress, everyone has stress. This is what I want to share too. If you have stress and that little thought pops up, and then you go down into a 15 or 20 minute cycle of stress, because that, you're walking down the street, that picture pops up, oh yeah, stress, anxiety, and then your brain goes into 15 or 20 minutes of thoughts. Those thoughts dump a bunch of negative chemicals into your body. Like right now, if you think about going on an amazing romantic evening, you smile inside. And right now, if you think about, oh my God, I can't pay the bills, literally, I can't pay, you go, oh. So our thoughts instantly create frown or smile. And one thing I do is this thing called Instant Miracle. It's really amazing, really quick. It's NLP and stuff like that. But if you are right now stressing out, and I mean this from all aspects, but if you're really stressing out and something's really going on in your body and in your mind, so here's exactly really what I'm talking about, okay? Because I can go a little bit unfocused sometimes, but just when it comes to asking for a pitch, but. If you have a real stress in your life, I do something called an Instant Miracle, and I have testimonials, and I'm setting up a website right now at the Big Dreams Club, because I've held back for too long, and we did it with Matthias and you and your son, right? Yes. The Instant Miracle. Yes. Pretty cool, right?
It's cool. Yeah.
We have stresses, so you ask yourself, out of 10, what level stress did you have? And right now, you have that big problem. You have this big problem. That biggest problem of yours, what number is it? It's 7, 8, or 9 out of 10 of stress. That thing, even if it's anxiety, even if it's anything, you don't have to tell me what it is. And B, within 1 hour, we can have it down to zero, eliminate it down to zero, that feeling in the body, the pictures. And the way it works, I'll just quickly share, is that if you go on your computer right now and you open a folder and you change the pictures in that folder, a year from now when Matthias comes back here and we look at that folder, those pictures are still changed. And right now, that stress that you're having, you keep carrying around that same picture. So you walk down the street, that picture pops up, our brains see things in pictures instantly. Don't see a purple monkey. Right? You just saw a purple monkey. So either way, and then after seeing that picture, the chemicals get stored in the body, and then the body starts running this addiction and starts shooting that up there. So I wanted to say, and I'm going to start putting this out there, because even though I want to do digital marketing schools and stuff like that, I'm going to promote one of my days to these Instant Miracles and coaching over Zoom, and I'm going to charge like $97, and if someone wants to do this, like I've paid for hypnotherapy, it's usually $150 and you get an hour. They do amazing work, because with hypnotherapy, you're bypassing all the conscious nonsense, and the conscious mind's amazing, but the unconscious mind does all the work. We know that. And so it gets down in there, and by changing the unconscious mind, which is all these things I've started to do since 47, and I am worthy now. And if there's something in your life that is that thing, we can remove that down to zero. And when you think about the thing that was stopping you, now when you think about this, you don't have, how do you feel about that thought?
Zero.
Zero. Yeah. And he looked, you see when he looked around for a sec? What we've done is we scramble the picture in the mind can't even find it anymore, the picture. And if I came right up to you real big, especially if imagine if he came up to you really big, right in your face and was going to beat you up. You'd be scared. But all of a sudden you pushed him like a mile away and he was this tiny little thing going. So that's what we got to do. And anyhow, so it's super magical. And I really mean that. If you're stressing out, you don't need to. And I don't even need to know what your problem is. And if you get a hold of me on Skype or whatever like that at the Big Dreams Club, even call me, 506-889-5545. I guarantee you 100% you can be in a completely different feeling forever. It's gone. Once it's gone, once these limiting beliefs are gone. And if you're not happy, I'll happily give you your money back. And I didn't mean to pitch this, but sometimes you just have to tell something that's real. And I believe in this so passionately. So anyhow, hypnotherapists sometimes charge a lot more money than they have these like $700, $800 packages. And anyhow, it's because everybody wants that, you know, bigger. Anyhow, so
I'm going to put the phone number and the website also on my website, like you, so people can reach you if they if they would like to.
But please do. Don't walk around for another 10 years holding on to something when for the price of like a one fill of gas. And I would do it for free, but my wife's now learning Touch for Health, and she's like, "No, Maury, it's energy. You have to get energy back, right?"
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't need to do it for free, right? So anyhow,
it's good. Okay. So we know now where people can reach you. That was good. And is there anything I didn't like that forgot to ask you, or that?
No. If you're being called to do something great, you're never, ever going to be truly happy until you jump. I know I mentioned that again, but it's true. And what Matthias is really clear about, and what all the experts are saying now, and Joe Dispenza and all the experts, is know where you're going, right? If you know where you're going, you're going to get there. But if you don't, you're not going to get there. So I'm going to, after this conversation, because it's now after New Year's, there's no more excuses. I'm going up there, right at my vision board, getting my girls on board. Kids want discipline. Kids want their time slotted out. We homeschool them, and kids, they're reading books all the time. They want love. They want their time scheduled out. So if you have kids, you know, however old they are, if you're a young dad or a young mom, and you know, like they're going to be gone. Like my girls are going to be gone, and it could be in 5 years once they're 18, because they're legally allowed to. And my wife's two sisters both left young. So if you have kids right now, really appreciate them and tuck them in at night. Go up there and tuck them in. That's what I want to say, because it's such a short window and they're gone forever. And everybody who's maybe older whose kids are gone now, you know, and that's some of the regrets you just can't help, because your heart.
And it's gone.
And our life's gone.
Yeah.
Anyhow, we talked earlier about something too, when, you know, you look back to, like, let me ask you a question. 2011, March 15th, actually the whole month of March, actually the whole entire year of 2011, what happened in your life? And you probably don't even remember. But in that year, you were all this stress, all those things going through your head, thinking you're all so important, and we don't even remember the whole year. Right? It's crazy.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
So
we forget so.
So we got to go big.
It's extreme how fast we forget.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
1 year from now, when I see you, where are you going to be? What's one good goal?
I will have published my second book.
Nice.
Yeah.
Easily.
From
the heart, with fun.
From the heart. Yes. Yes. Yes, so now I come to my signature question, my last question. I said it at the beginning when I met you guys. I was like, I told you guys you were pirates, and you didn't know what I mean by that.
I was like, what?
I
love it. Stoic pirate. It's great, eh?
And it's like, you are so non-conformist. You live your dream. You follow that. You chase that. You're on that quest.
Thank you.
And I think it's really cool. And so, let's go back a couple hundred years. We are like end of the 17th century, like at around 1690, 1710. I'll meet you somewhere like, you know, here on the ocean or whatever, you know, on PEI or something. And they say like, we're like in this bar, like old bar, you know, and I'm going like, hey, Maury,
I got no teeth.
Right, no teeth. And I'm like, you know, hey Maury, I have a boat, I have a ship, and I'm putting a crew together. I have this quest for this treasure, and I'm putting a pirate boat together. Would you come with me on the pirate boat? Wow. And if you will come, what kind of role would you take on that boat? On our ship.
Hold on a second. Honey, can I go on the pirate ship? All right, so pirates, it's amazing what he taught me about pirates, and it makes so much sense, right? wow. So, and what a pirate captain. So if you're the captain, ask me, I'm going, for sure. If they ask me to go to Mars, right now I'm not going, right? I mean, if it's a short trip, I'll go, but I'm not going to move to Mars. Because think about the things that these guys did, eh? And at 50, 51, all right, so it's 200 years ago, we're going on a ship, and what's my role?
You choose it. You tell me what it's going to be your role. What do you, like, you can choose the role you want, where you feel comfortable with, where you...
Yeah. Imagine 200 years ago, no one did feeling stuff at all, right? Like internal work, forget that. What the hell did you say, Tappan? Off with his head. I'm thinking, and I've done some writing, right? I do like writing and stuff like that, and we talk about this a few times. When people say, "Wow, your book changed my life," right? And or your podcast or something like that. So I would do some writing. I would do some writing, and I would be the feeling guy, not the flaky guy, okay? Just the feeling guy saying, dude, you seem like you have a lot of anger, right? Didn't the captain say we're having a good time or whatever? So I'd be doing some journaling and some writing, and wow, I mean, what an opportunity that would be. And we have that opportunity right now,
yes,
to be pirates and literally go travel around the world. And maybe not literally right now if you're not vaccinated, right? Like, or something like that, because I'm not, and that's my whole thing. But so, yeah, I'd be the journaler. And I'd happily be on your ship for sure. And wow, and you guys, imagine those days when all of a sudden there's cannons coming at you, ripping people's bodies apart, huge big cannons flipping around. People have gone to war for our freedom. Matthias told me a lot about Switzerland, where he's from, and what an amazing country. Like, what an amazing, the politics there with the 7 members, and no one really has too much power. And I said for years, all we got to do is vote on the rules. Why do we need these leaders? Why do we need countries? And obviously we don't, but eventually, because the whole world is now a global economy. Yeah. And now people in India can learn how to place ads in North America, and they're shipping lots of money out there, and they're really working hard. So all of you, let's go on his ship, and let's become grateful. Let's do some great things in this one life we have. That's the yeah. But he's a cool guy for sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey,
thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for this talk.
Oh, we're all done now.
We're done now. I wish you all the best. Like maybe we do another one. Like when I come back.
Yeah, 1 year from now.
And we check if you follow through with your dreams.
Oh my gosh, so accountability.
You have accountability now.
You mean I just can't keep talking?
No, it's like with the ice water.
Yeah.
You can't keep talking.
And everything is on the other side of that wall of fear. Everything, right? Yeah. Everything. And it was nothing.
No.
It was nothing.
It was nothing. And at the end, you're proud and you know, hey, I can do it. And that's...
You're hot. You guys, it's -3 out. It's not that cold, but it's still -3. There's a hole cut in the ice, as you'll see. Yeah. And we walked up there, we jumped in. And you're hot, your body, your adrenaline kicks over. And for 2 years, I sat here. I'd done one before in Thailand with a little bubble of ice bath, and it was hot, like 30 degrees out. We did this meditation and stuff like that. It was when we were in Thailand. Yeah. And now, 2 years, I sat here in my house thinking about going down where these firemen were doing it, and then the fireplace is going, and I'm all warm and safe, and I talked myself out of it, right? Yeah. Like all of us do. So, man, like that great idea of yours, I dare you too now, to do it, right? Yeah. Absolutely. And he's going to have his book done. You know that. You know his book's going to be done. So, is there one more scarier thing you can do than even a 10x thing? Could you have 10 books done in the year?
Well, that's a lot. That's only a lot. Like, no, like.
Okay, one?
No, one is good if I can.
Anything else that's fearing you that you'd like to push? I mean, Big Dreams Club here.
Yeah. No, there's nothing that's fearing me. I'm like.
He's a pirate. I'm
a pirate. I just want to say, I'm trying to. I'm taking charge.
You are. You are. During COVID, he started this podcast, and he's already doing very well. Let's give it up. Let's give it up. The Stoic Pirate. All right, I'm out. Big Dreams Club.
Hey, thank you very much.
All right.
And thanks a lot for listening. That's it for today. And I hope you will be back. I hope we were able to inspire you a little bit, to motivate you a little bit, and to entertain you also. And that was a great thing, first time in English. And I hope you will be back in a week or maybe in 2 when I come back to Switzerland for the next episode of The Stoic Pirate. Take care. All the best.